Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name is Mandy Arceneaux, and I am the Associate Director of Marketing Relations for Lamar University, and I also serve as the Marketing Manager for the College of Education and Human Development. Today, we are here to have a major discussion of interdisciplinary studies within the Teacher Education Department. Our goal today is to answer any questions as they relate to being an education student. We do have some expert faculty with us today. We have Dr. Titus, Associate Professor, Dr. Butall, Clinical Instructor and Director of our Field Experience, and we have Dr. Singh, who is also an Associate Professor. Also joining us is Rebecca Wells, who is an admission counselor. She's going to be fielding any admission questions that you may have. You'll see a chat option in the bottom of your screen. Feel free to use that chat and ask us any questions as we are together today. We're going to do our best to get to all of your questions and get those answered. That way we make the most of our time together. Couple of last housekeeping things. Your video is turned off and your mics are muted to make sure that everything is private and secure. And lastly, we are recording this session so we can post it on our website, and the recording will be closed captioned. All right, let's get started. Let's get to the good stuff. Dr. Titus, I will turn it over to you. If you'll tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and all good things in the teacher education program. I think you may need to unmute yourself, Dr. Titus. I'm sure you're saying great things.
Right.
There it is.
Good morning to everybody. Forgot to turn on the mic. I'm excited and delighted that you all are here this morning. Welcome to Teacher Education. My name is Dr. Freddie Titus. I'm an Associate Professor of Teacher Education. And I have the greatest job that you could ever imagine. I teach math content in the math department, and I teach math pedagogy. I'm going to ask you all a question. Any of y'all ever had a teacher who was a great teacher but didn't know the content? Yeah, I see you shaking your heads. What about the reverse? A teacher that knew the content but didn't really know how to teach? Well, I'm excited because I'm able to bridge those two things together. And so I want to share with you some things about myself. This is my 38th year in higher education. I've been in the teacher education department for the last 8 years. My research is centered around students' errors and misconceptions when they deal with real numbers and evaluating algebraic expressions. I'm a faculty advisor, so some of y'all are going to get to see me and visit with me one-on-one, and we'll talk about career paths. I still love working with K-12. I go out into the field and volunteer, and I participate in the state math conference as well. I believe in student-centered learning and productive struggle. And usually on my evaluation, students always talk about that productive struggle. So in our department, there are the Bachelor's of Science in Interdisciplinary Studies. EC6 Generalist is what we offer, 4 through 8 English Language Arts and Reading, 4 through 8 Math, Math Science, Composite Science, Social Studies, and then we have a 4 through 8 Generalist and EC12 Special Education. Now, those degrees are within our department, but we do provide certification outside our department. If you're a secondary major, then you would major in that content area. Say you're going to major in English, then you would get a degree in English. If you in chemistry, you would get a degree in chemistry. And then you would come over to our department and we will provide the pedagogy courses that go along with that content. Obviously, we cannot do none of this without this second to none faculty we have. They provide our students with cutting edge research-based pedagogy and many, many years of experience of teaching in EC12. To get in our department, you don't start from your freshman year in our department. You take the core, once you complete the course, about 45 hours, and pedagogy 2310, you got to make a C or better, then you apply to the teacher education department. And then after you apply, we review your application, and yes, we get to take you, provided you have a 2.75 GPA or better. So what does that look like? I kind of brought the degree map so that you can see what it looks like. So your freshman year, you would take core courses and look, you see math 13, 14. So that means you get to see me before you are get in the teacher education program. Likewise with that 1350 class as well. So you take all your basic courses, and then during your your junior and senior year, you're over in the education department. Now, something that's unique about teacher education is this. There is the classroom piece, and then there is the field experience. And Dr. Bhutar is going to talk about the field experience, but it is amazing that what we learn in theory, we actually practice it out in the field. And I tell you, you can't beat that. That is hands-on learning, and I like that. So theory and practice working together. We believe in this notion of student-centered learning and this notion of culturally responsive teaching. Those are areas that are close to my heart and our faculty, and we're excited about what we're going to be doing in our department in days to come, because we are realigning things, we're doing new things. Again, remember, we research driven. So I wanted to bring, so what do we do in my class? That's a good question. So I wanted to bring a little activity. So here's what happens. Let's pretend this is a Google Doc. Couldn't upload a Google Doc for this presentation, would take too long. But hands-on, I believe in hands-on learning. And so we begin with concrete objects, then we move to semi-concrete objects, and then we move to those equations and those algorithms. And so something that would be interesting is to have a problem like this and have 2 or 3 students work on it. So 3/4 divided by 1/8. What does that really mean? Well, students, again, with fractions, to have just that algorithm would confuse and does not give us insight to what's happening. But if we use manipulatives, then that helps us. And so let's think about dividing this whole part into forwards, and here's our 3 forwards. And so we're asking ourselves the question, and students would move these 1/8 pieces around, and they would see, well, let's see how many 1/8 pieces will go into 3/4. And so we're actually seeing the math come alive. And then we can report what our answer is. So in this case, it would be 6 servings of orange juice left in the container. So hands-on learning is very, very important. How do you learn best? How do you learn best? Okay, yes, when you do it, when you figure it out yourself. And that is important. And that's a part of this student-centered learning. We are committed to seeing you through your coursework, but we are also committed to making sure that you complete the process for certification. So we have a certification office, and that the person that's over that is Dimple Jones. And we have a local Lamar proficiency test that you could take to kind of give you practice. We have a review system in place, and then we will work with you as you apply for your initial certification. We have a couple of student organizations that you may want to participate in: Kappa Delta Pi Education Honor Society, and then we have the Lamar Student Education Association. So be sure to check those 2 organizations out. Okay, that's my time. Thank you so much for visiting with us.
Dr. Titus, quick question about student organizations. I'm glad you mentioned that. You know, students who are coming out of high school, going into college, may be looking for ways to get involved and to really maximize their college experience. Why should a student join a student organization?
Hey, the research out there says that students who are connected on the outside of the academic classroom tend to stay in college. There are a lot of benefits for connecting with students in student organizations. One, for example, with LSEA, there's the opportunity of getting insurance through that organization. You know, part of the field experience, you go out into the field, but you have to have insurance. And so that's neat. Collaboration, students working together in groups. Again, teacher education, we talk about group learning. And so it's important that students would practice what we teach.
That's very true. Another thing you mentioned that may have caught students off guard is applying to the departments, right? So we've got students who are applying to Lamar and they think, great, I'm at Lamar University. I am pursuing a degree in interdisciplinary studies. I want to be a teacher. And then they hit this area where they have to apply to the department. Can you just speak to that a little bit, what that looks like, and how students can be best prepared for when that time comes?
Okay, so during the core program, you have an advisor, and that advisor is going to walk you through the core program. But in addition to that, you're going to have an advisor in teacher education, and that person is going to advise you in terms of the content that you would do in teacher education. But here's the thing, those two advisors collaborate with each other, and that's the point that I'm trying to make. And so you're gonna constantly get information about what you need to have done in those first 45 hours so that you can become a part of the teacher education program. It is very, very important that you do well in your core courses. Like I said, for EC6, many of those courses that you take will serve as the foundation for your degree. And so you want to make sure that you are content savvy, and that's important, to be content savvy.
I agree. All right, great. Thank you. Are there anything else that you'd like to mention about the teacher education program?
It's a great program at Lamar University, and we are waiting on you all to finish your core program and come join us on the teacher education side.
That's it. I love it. Every time I talk to you, I want to change my life and be a teacher. I get so excited. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
I love it. Okay, now we'll move on to Dr. Butaw, who's with us. She serves as the director of our field experience office. I know students look forward to those days. It's something they hear about. It's something they know going into the program. So Dr. Butaw, I'll turn it over to you.
Well, speaking of good things, and that is going out into the field and getting to actually apply what you're learning in those classes, because you sit in a classroom and you learn about how to teach students, how students learn, how to teach math, how to teach reading, how to teach science. And then we give you the opportunity to go out into the field and watch teachers do that and reflect on that and how you can apply your own skills to that. And then you also get the opportunity to work with those very same students. So you get to do that in small groups. You get to do that in whole class lessons where you have a teacher right there to help you. And so across the program, we've embedded field courses so that you get to apply those skills from the beginning all the way to the end. So you have chosen a particular certification area, and we want you to have the experiences in that certification area. And we try to give you experiences across all those grade levels, because if you are getting certified in EC6, that means you could teach anywhere from early childhood to 6th grade. So we want you to have those experiences across those grade levels. So we put you in those field courses. You get to go out into the field, apply those skills, and then at the very end, your last semester, you do something that we call clinical teaching. You probably have heard it called student teaching. We have a new name thanks to TEA. It's called clinical teaching. And you get to be on campus in a classroom all day. And so you start as a student, and by the time you finish those 70 days with that teacher in that classroom, you end up being a teacher. And it is phenomenal to watch the growth from the beginning of those 70 days to the end of those 70 days. because once you leave there, you're a teacher. You feel like a teacher, you sound like a teacher, you act like a teacher, and you have the knowledge that you've learned in those courses you've taken and the practice that you've done across the field, and now you are applying all of that all day, every day. So the field portion is one of the most exciting pieces, I think, about our program, because we are so committed to getting you out into the field. You need to plan for that final semester, those 70 days, because you will be on campus every day, all day. Your calendar will be the calendar of the school that you are assigned to. So we want you to plan for that as far as your jobs. You won't be taking other courses during that time. So look at that degree plan and know when you're going to clinical teach, so you have that in mind as far as childcare, jobs, those kinds of things that you might need to plan. I think that's all I have about the field. That is the most exciting. Of course, I'm kind of biased, but that is the most exciting part about that, to be out in the field with those students and getting to work with them and use all those skills that you're learning in the courses.
I agree. I think a lot of teacher education students talk about that portion of their degree plan, and they look forward to that. And then when they're in it, they're very excited to be there.
Right. And you have all the support. I want you to not be afraid of that, because you have lots of support. You have support from the classes, the university supervisors and professors. You also have the mentor teacher or cooperating teacher out in the field. So it's not like we're just sticking you in a class and saying, go at it. There's lots of support, and you've had practice in those field courses of planning lessons and presenting lessons.
Yeah, I think students would love that, because, you know, it would be a little unnerving to graduate and then your very first day in a classroom is by yourself, right, in front of students that you're now responsible for. So having this field experience opportunity really does prepare them. Like you said, those 70 days, you start out as a student, and then by the end of it, you're a teacher. You've had that experience and the knowledge and the mentorship and the support that's needed to really make that transition. And 70 days sure doesn't sound like a long time, but having the opportunity to be in the classroom all day, every day, you get a substantial amount of time in there to have that growth opportunity.
So when you're in the field courses and you're doing what we consider a little bit of work in the field, it seems like you're not learning a lot, or you don't feel as comfortable, like, oh, I could never have a class by myself. But when you get into that clinical teaching and you're there every day, all day, working with the teacher, the student, and the university supervisor, it's like I said, the growth from student to teacher every semester, it's so exciting to watch. And the students feel that as well. When they come in, they feel like a student, and when they leave, they're like, all the reflections are like, I feel like a teacher. So it's an exciting time.
Yeah, that's wonderful. As far as the school districts that the students would have their clinical teaching experience in, are they local? Are they far? Like, how should students plan on, where they live versus where they may be placed?
Right. So when you're doing in the field courses, you're of course going to be local, because you're here at the university, and you're assigned to campuses within our program. So when you get to clinical teaching, we do have that opportunity that if you are out of the area and you need to be clinical teaching out of the area, and we can find supervisors, because the state requires that we supervise students in the field. Of course, not only the state, we want to supervise them. But we have to have supervisors in those areas. So it's not just a matter of, hey, I want to clinical teach in Dallas. It's a matter of, do we have supervisors that are in that area? So you actually apply to clinical teach, and that gives us an idea and the ability to make sure that we have those supervisors.
Awesome. That is really good to know. Any final thoughts on field experience?
Oh, I think it's the most exciting part of the education program, and it is it's being a teacher is absolutely wonderful. I'm so glad you want to be a teacher. Every day is different, and you learn, you become a lifelong learner, and it's just wonderful.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Dr. Singh, on to you. Hello. What would you like to share with us today?
You know what? All these two individuals have already talked about the fascinating thing that we at Teacher Education Department do, you know, at Lamar University campus. And just to add a little bit on it, I'm going to talk about scholarship, but I'm going to talk a little bit about my passion for teaching, and not only teaching, but my love for science and science education. Guys, I see teaching as a medium through which I can communicate with my students and enlighten members of society on science and science education, the field that fascinates me, folks, excites me on daily basis. So, you know, when you get enrolled in this teacher education program at Lamar University, like Dr. Buta mentioned, the field component is one of the most fascinating part and component of field teacher ed program. And guess what? When you take classes, you'll be taking science methods class, and that science methods class will have field component, and you'll go out to teach these little kids, K through 12 students, the science component. You know, the science content, learning through making, learning through design thinking, learning by doing. So all those fun stuff you'll be learning when you take my methods class. Okay. So with that being said, what I'm going to talk today is more about more about the education scholarship component. So let me share my screen. I believe some of you have already, let's see, some of you might have been already accepted to Lamar University, right? And then, do you all see my screen? It's a Lamar University page. Do you all see it?
Yes.
Okay, so some of you who have already been accepted, on your acceptance letter, you might have received a letter with your LU number. And with that number, what you can do is you can go ahead and apply for scholarships. Folks, there are tons of scholarships and specifically designed for education major. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you is like when you are on Lamar page, you click on LU Connect, and then you go to your student page, and then you have this section called My Scholarships. So if you log on to that, again, if you've already if you have already received an acceptance letter, with that scholarship page, when you log on, and actually what I did was like, I got a consent from my son, and I used his account so that I'll be able to share with you guys the different scholarships that you'll be eligible to apply. So when you log on, you'll come up with this page, and you have this My Application component, and then you have the opportunities section too. So when you click on those opportunities section, you'll see all these scholarships. So I encourage you all of you to explore this site, okay? And then click on every section of scholarships, apply, and then see and check your eligibility. And there, like I said, there are certain scholarships that mainly designed for our education major. So I strongly encourage you all to explore this site and then apply for scholarships. Folks, there are money out there specifically designed for our education major, okay? So just don't let it go. You know, it's just a matter of time, and then you browse those sites. And then the deadline for this scholarship, I believe, is like February 1st. So, you know, if you have not applied to those scholarships and you've already if you have your L number, please do go ahead and apply to those sites, okay? I think that's it at my end, Mandy, unless you have any other questions or students have any questions, I'll be more than happy to address them.
I absolutely have questions because I have the pleasure of working with you and knowing you, and I want the students watching us today to know what it's like to be in Dr. Singh's classroom. We got a taste of what it's like to be in Dr. Titus's classroom. all those numbers made me nervous. He knows I'm not a math guy. But Dr. Singh, what is life like inside your class on the hands-on opportunities, things of that nature?
Absolutely. And like I said, my classroom is built with 15 hours when students get enrolled in my classroom, 15 hours they'll be out in the field. And then when I say field, they will be doing hands-on, learning through design thinking, learning by doing. So making errors is a part of science experiment. And then, so this semester, and every semester when I teach, I come up with a theme. So last semester, my course theme was hurricane, because it's more, it's like we live in Southeast Texas. We want anything with the science experiment, science teaching, we want students to get used to that, the situation that we face in, and design everything, all the experiment, whether it's virtual or it's hands-on based on hurricane. Guess what? Next semester, it will be COVID-19. So it's like, it's on daily basis. Challenging my students to, hey, go think outside the box, and then come up with an experiment. So when it's a COVID-19, how are you going to teach COVID-19 with that virus with little kids? So we have the school experiment with, black pepper and soap experiment. So you just dip in black pepper, just if you dip in black pepper and put it in just plain water, the black pepper just stays there. So just the black pepper will represent virus, and then if you put in soap, then the black pepper kind of, it just spreads out. So just giving them the knowledge of like how that impacts, the current situation and how that can be related with the science teaching component. And then maybe next semester it will be vaccine, so my class is very dynamic, folks. Science is never static. And, and then it's always dynamic. Every semester is theme-based, folks. And the learning through making, learning through design thinking approach. Those are the approaches that I'm going to use. And then it's strictly 5E instruction model that I use, like starting with engagement, explore, and ending with evaluation component.
It feels like every classroom is very dynamic. From hearing from the three of you, it sounds like the whole program is rather dynamic, and that the students have a lot to look forward to and will enjoy the process of becoming prepared to be a teacher.
Absolutely, absolutely. We welcome wholeheartedly, folks. Science and science teaching. I live by that, and like Dr. Buta said, her with the clinical teaching, Dr. Titus, math, mine is science. I live with science, passion, love. I just get goosebumps thinking about science, okay? And science experiment, folks. So I look forward to having you all in my class and get excited about science and science teaching. Trust me, this semester, when I'm looking at my reviews with the science component, folks, again, I just get goosebumps. I'm just putting everything together, I see goosebumps all over just thinking about science and science teaching.
I love it. I always smile ear to ear when I speak to each of you. I can't help it. Y'all are fantastic. The teacher education department is lucky to have you. Lamar University is lucky to have you. And these students get an opportunity to get to know you, to get to learn from you, to get to be mentored by you. And that alone is something to be excited about. Before I wrap us up and close this out, do any of the three of you have any final words that you'd like to say?
We just look forward to having all of you, in our teacher ed program, and then lots of opportunity, explore, research. It's a research-based teaching that's what we do. Like Dr. Titus says, it's not teaching. We teachers are researchers, and researchers become teachers. So that's how it's like two ways. That's how we work. So we look forward to seeing you all, folks. Lamar is great. LU, remember?
I love it. I love it. Dr. Titus, Dr. Buta, any final words?
Oh, I think I agree with Dr. Singh. We look forward to working with you, and we can't wait for you to come to the program.
I'm excited too. I was waiting for Dr. Titus. I know he's going to say something.
Absolutely. I concur with both of them. Teaching education, I tell you, I actually studied engineering as an undergraduate, and I actually worked as an engineer in a silo by myself. And, I have all this personality, and it was great. I did well, but I wasn't happy. But when you put me in front of a group of students, or if I get the opportunity to work with a group of students, boy, to me, that is so wonderful. If you think about my life in general, I teach in the teacher education department. I teach in the math department. At church, I teach in the music department. In the community, I teach in community centers. So my whole life is built around teaching. I love teaching. I love watching teachers to develop, and certainly Lamar is a great place to develop your teaching skills.
I agree.
I agree as well. Thank you all so much for being here. Dr. Titus, Dr. Butaw, Dr. Singh. Thank you so much for your time and for your knowledge and for your wisdom. Also, a big shout out to Rebecca Wells. I see you up there. Hello. Thanks for spending your morning with us. I do want to share my slide with you rather quickly. This slide is going to have my contact information on it for anyone who wants more information about what we learned today, or would like to get in touch with the professors that you've heard from or any other professors that we have. You see my email right there, and I'll be happy to connect to you or answer any questions that you may have. Another great resource would be the lamar.edu/education. That is our College of Education and Human Development website. It'll share with you all the things that we've talked about today within the teacher education program, but as well as other majors that we offer. And another great resource would be lamar.edu/my-admission-counselor. For students coming into college for the first time, your admission counselor is a great resource. They have a lot of knowledge, they have a lot of connections, they know how to get you plugged in and to get you set up for success. So between myself and your admission counselor that you would find at that website, we should be able to set you on a path of success as you start your career here at Lamar University. Another resource that you can check out at any time is lamar.edu/visits. That's a website that we have for students to be able to learn how they can engage and interact with Lamar University during the pandemic, but also beyond. So remember that website is a resource for you on how you can connect with Lamar University and really get plugged in here as you start your collegiate journey. So thank you all again very much for being here. I had a great time. My cheeks hurt. Y'all are the best. And I will see you guys soon. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.